Today I want to talk to someone in this video message about pleasure. You know, we talk about pleasure being the catalyst to addiction. And sometimes it's not always about not having fun or being the boring. It's about being responsible and accountable. I'm Dr. Dorena Shine, and I'm grateful that you're here with me today. We're going to get deep into this conversation. I'm going to give you an example about pleasure and the pleasure-seeking principle and how that principle can be one of the catalysts to addiction. So I have a client that I will call Pleasure. Pleasure loves to do great things. When she was younger, she was very, very vibrant, energetic, very accountable. She took care of her brothers, her sisters. You know, that was what we did back in the day, right? So that was something that she prided herself on. She took care of her brothers and her sisters, and she didn't really have much time to herself. Pleasure met me about maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and I was just on my journey of awakening and spiritual journey, awareness, but I had been consistently working. But when I met her, I recognized that she had great fundamental skills with gardening. She could do gardening like Martha Stewart. I mean, like she did great work. And so she wanted to help me with the project, a gardening project, and she had everything set out, laid out within a 6-month period of time. The goal was to just have fun here and there and maybe, you know, take a break after work or whatever. And the next thing you know, pleasure became the catalyst to her addiction. She began to party more. She was more severely depressed, but we were working through that area of her life. But she was in her room more. So when I would stop by, I would check on her, and she wouldn't even be out of the bed at 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, then she had an accident, and the doctor gave her prescription medicine. And then after the doctor prescribed her this medicine, she began to decline. The medicine was making her just want to be in that momentum of pleasure, peace-seeking pleasure. But it was a false sense of pleasure. It was not that type of pleasure that would provide her needed essentials in life. So as I'm watching her decline, I am, sharing with her my story. I'm telling her, hey, let's go to some meetings. Hey, let's do this, let's do that. And she's not trying to hear it. Pretty soon she becomes so addicted through her pleasure until she seeks non-clarity of everything. Her entire world becomes a blur. So, of course, as a morality professional, what I have to do is report, because when you're harming yourself or someone else, that becomes a problem. Now what we have to do is work on that issue. So as I report, the next thing you know, she's self-medicating to the point of unawareness, unconfidence, discomfort, like literally discomfort. And what I learned from pleasure is that you have to have a balance. I'm not saying that life should be so boring that you do nothing. I'm saying that with responsibility, with accountability, and with determination, You can do anything you set your mind to. Now, I'm not saying anything about, the social service system in a negative way, but I'm saying that when an individual needs support, financial support, and individuals have had times where they have been irresponsible, not paying their bills, not taking care of their personal hygiene, not taking care of their essential needs, someone should step in, because this is where homelessness begins, through that pleasure seeking. I talk to homeless individuals consistently, and one of the things that they say is that I had a great life before this. And the irresponsibility of pleasure, it creates that illusion that it's always going to be okay. So shout out to pleasure, because you helped me see that pleasure does, in and of itself only, will create an addiction. And if we don't want it, we better keep a balance to our lives. And, I also feel that when we put ourselves in harm's way, that's just like being incompetent. There's an incompetency there. There's a cognitive dysfunction there. And at that point, we either need to stand up for ourselves, or we need to have someone assigned to support and help us. And now, mind you, the help must be resourceful. The help must be supportive. The help must be genuine. Because sometimes we can find ourselves in an even worse situation than we did when we were first seeking that pleasure moment. Now, I know there are some people watching this podcast. Shout out to all the private viewers, who hide behind the mask, that want to still come and visit, but don't want to give credit. Thank you so much. Don't stop watching the videos. I love it. As long as I'm getting the views, that's all that matters. Now, I also noticed that with the balance of pleasure and the balance of responsibility, there is a nurturing there, because something is going to happen where the individual, the responsible individual, will say, I can have a little bit of pleasure, but I don't want all pleasure. I'm not saying that life has to be challenging or conflicting or chaotic or any of that, because too much chaos can also bring destruction. Too much success will bring unnecessary, unneeded other areas of thought. Control, narcissism, expectations, limitations, bureaucracy, all of those things. So just think about that. Think about pleasure's story the next time you want to make sure that you're balancing your life with reality and pleasure. Because many of us will have a whole entire lifetime slip past us, and we will not know where it went, and we will not be eligible for our senior status, to sit at our winner's table, to succeed in the momentum of morality and integrity. So that's something I want you to hold on to today. I thank you so much for being here. For those who have been here so far to this point, hit the like button if this has resonated with you. And for those of you who have not found anything helpful here, come back and see us another time. I'm sure there's going to be something that will hit home for you. Life is a challenge, so let's take it by the horns and ride that thing. All right, peace and blessings, and we'll see you next time.